My beloved child. Tonight is not ordinary, and you can feel it even if you do not understand it yet. There is a quiet pressure in the air, a sense that time itself is slowing down just to watch what is about to unfold in your life. You may be sitting alone, scrolling, thinking this is just another moment, but something unseen is already moving toward you with intention. This surprise is not loud yet, not dramatic on the surface, but it carries weight, meaning, and consequences that will change how you look at recent events. Every delay you faced, every unanswered question, every strange silence was not random. It was preparation. Tonight is when the invisible lines finally connect, and when they do, you will realize why things had to happen exactly the way they did. Stay here, because what begins quietly will end with clarity that cannot be ignored. There is a reason this surprise waited until nightfall. Darkness has a way of revealing truths that daylight hides behind noise and distraction. Someone has been thinking about you intensely, replaying moments, rereading words, and questioning their own choices while pretending everything was normal. On the outside, they kept their routine, their calm, their distance, but inside, pressure was building. Tonight is when that pressure reaches its breaking point. You may receive a message, a call, or a sudden realization that hits you without warning, and it will feel like the universe tapping you on the shoulder and saying, "Pay attention now." This is not coincidence. This is the result of emotions that were suppressed for too long finally demanding to be acknowledged. What surprises you most will not be the event itself, but how deeply it confirms what you already sensed in your heart. You have been underestimated recently, not because you lack value, but because others assumed you would remain silent, patient, and unchanged. They believed you would keep waiting without asking questions, accepting half-answers, and doubting yourself instead of the situation. That assumption is about to collapse. Tonight's surprise carries an element of reversal. The one who thought they had control will realize they do not. The one who thought you would never notice will realize you noticed everything. This is where the power subtly shifts back into your hands, not through confrontation, but through truth. You will see patterns make sense. You will understand why certain people acted distant, why conversations felt unfinished, and why your intuition refused to stay quiet. This moment is designed to wake you up, not scare you, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. As the hours move closer to midnight, emotions that were hidden begin to surface, not just in others, but within you as well. You may feel a strange mix of anticipation and calm, as if some part of you already knows what is coming. That is because your intuition has been preparing you long before your mind caught up. Tonight's surprise is not about shock for the sake of shock. It is about alignment. It is about revealing who stands with you, who thinks about you when no one is watching, and who feels the weight of your absence more than they ever admitted. This realization may arrive softly, but it will land deeply. You will feel seen in a way you have not felt for a long time, and that feeling will change how you move forward from this point on. Remember this moment, because it marks the end of confusion and the beginning of understanding. Whatever happens tonight will not demand an immediate reaction from you. Instead, it will give you clarity, and clarity is power. You will no longer question whether your feelings were exaggerated or whether you imagined the signs. The surprise coming tonight exists to validate you, to confirm that your patience was not wasted, and to show you that something meaningful was unfolding behind the scenes all along. Stay present. Do not rush ahead. Let the truth arrive at its own pace. This is only the beginning, and what follows after tonight will build on this moment in ways that will surprise you even more. My beloved child. What follows after last night is not noise, but echo, because every real surprise leaves a vibration behind that continues to move long after the moment passes. You may feel different waking up, as if something invisible shifted while you were not looking, and that feeling is not imagination. This is the aftereffect of truth settling into place. The mind tries to return to routine, but the heart knows something important has already happened. Someone crossed an emotional line they promised themselves they never would, and now they cannot step back pretending nothing changed. The surprise was not only an event, it was a trigger, and once triggered, certain realizations cannot be undone. This is where the story deepens, because now reactions begin, and reactions always reveal more than intentions ever could. There is a quiet panic growing in someone's chest, not because they regret what was revealed, but because they realize how long they waited to face it. They are replaying your presence in their mind, noticing details they ignored before, recognizing the stability and strength they took for granted. What unsettles them most is not fear of loss, but fear of truth, because truth demands action. You were never invisible to them, only unresolved, and now that unresolved feeling has a name, a weight, and a direction. While you may not hear their thoughts, you can feel the pull, subtle but persistent, like a tide that keeps returning no matter how far it retreats. This is the phase where silence speaks louder than words, and distance begins to feel heavier than closeness ever did. At the same time, something important is happening within you. You are no longer waiting with uncertainty, but standing with awareness. The difference may seem small, but it changes everything. You start noticing how calm replaces anxiety when you stop chasing explanations. You begin to understand that you were never meant to convince anyone of your worth, only to recognize it yourself. This shift is powerful, because it changes how others approach you. Energy responds to clarity. Confidence without arrogance becomes a mirror that forces others to see themselves honestly. This is why the surprise did not end last night. It was designed to awaken this exact version of you, the one who listens more closely to intuition than to fear, and who no longer doubts the signs they receive. As the day progresses, you may notice unusual timing, unexpected reminders, or small moments that feel too precise to be accidental. These are not distractions. They are confirmations. They remind you that the path you are on is aligning, even if the destination is not fully visible yet. Someone may reach out indirectly, test the waters, or observe you from a distance, trying to understand how you changed so quietly. What they see will unsettle them, because growth that happens without announcement is the most intimidating kind. You did not raise your voice, you did not demand answers, yet everything shifted. This is the moment where respect replaces assumption, and curiosity replaces dismissal. They are beginning to realize that losing access to you would mean losing something rare. Do not rush this phase. What is unfolding now requires patience and observation, not reaction. Let others reveal themselves through consistency, not promises. Let actions speak without interruption. You are no longer in the phase of wondering what this means. You are in the phase of watching how it unfolds. The surprise opened the door, but what comes next will decide everything. Remember, clarity arrived to empower you, not to confuse you again. Hold your ground gently, stay present, and trust what you feel. This story is still moving forward, and the next reveal will not come from outside events alone, but from choices made when no one thinks they are being watched. My beloved child. Now the tension shifts into something sharper, more focused, because awareness has a way of tightening the story rather than relaxing it. You may notice that people around you start behaving differently, speaking more carefully, choosing words that reveal more than they intend. This is not because you demanded anything, but because your silence now carries authority. When you stop asking for reassurance, the world starts offering explanations on its own. Someone is realizing that the version of you they were comfortable with no longer exists, and that realization creates urgency. They feel time slipping, moments closing, opportunities narrowing. What unsettles them is not rejection, but the possibility that they waited too long to act with honesty. This is the stage where inner conflict becomes visible, even if nothing has been said aloud. Behind the scenes, decisions are being weighed, and not lightly. Someone is standing at a mental crossroads, replaying every moment where they chose convenience over courage. They are asking themselves hard questions late at night, wondering how you managed to grow without bitterness, how you became steadier instead of colder. The answer frightens them, because it proves that your strength was never dependent on their attention. This is when admiration mixes with regret, and regret begins to push toward action. You might sense this shift as sudden interest, subtle concern, or an unexpected softness in their tone. These are not accidents. They are signals of someone realizing that emotional distance has consequences, and that some connections do not wait forever. Meanwhile, your inner world continues to settle into clarity. You are not chasing outcomes anymore. You are watching behavior. This calm observation changes the dynamic completely. When you stop trying to be understood, understanding arrives naturally. You begin to recognize which connections feel heavy and which feel grounding. You notice who brings confusion and who brings peace. This awareness is part of the surprise's deeper purpose. It was never just about what someone else would do. It was about who you would become once the truth removed uncertainty from your mind. This version of you does not rush, does not beg, and does not second-guess intuition. This version waits, not out of fear, but out of self-respect. As hours pass, the atmosphere around you feels charged, as if something is gathering momentum. Conversations feel loaded with meaning. Small gestures feel deliberate. Someone may try to re-enter your space casually, as if nothing changed, but their energy gives them away. They are measuring your reactions, searching your tone for warmth or distance, hoping to find reassurance without having to ask for it. What they do not realize is that reassurance is no longer something you give freely. It must now be earned through consistency. This silent recalibration is powerful. It forces honesty where comfort once lived. It turns uncertainty into exposure, and exposure always brings truth to the surface. Understand this clearly. You are not waiting for the next surprise. You are becoming the surprise. Your steadiness, your emotional balance, your refusal to react impulsively is altering the course of events without effort. This phase is not about endings or beginnings yet. It is about positioning. It is about seeing who steps forward when silence stretches, and who disappears when effort is required. Let this phase unfold without interference. What is meant to stay will move closer with clarity. What is not will fade without drama. The next part of this story will reveal who chooses courage over comfort, and when that choice is made, everything will become unmistakably clear. My beloved child. This is the phase where the truth stops hovering and starts descending, slowly but firmly, into reality. What once felt like tension now feels like inevitability. Someone understands that avoidance is no longer protecting them, it is exposing them. They sense that the space between you is no longer neutral, it is meaningful, and every moment they delay saying or doing what matters is shaping the outcome against them. This awareness does not arrive with drama. It arrives with weight. It settles into their chest and refuses to leave. They realize that whatever connection exists here is not casual, not replaceable, and not something that can be paused indefinitely. Tonight's surprise was the spark, but this realization is the fire that keeps burning after the spark fades. You may notice that communication, even when minimal, carries more intensity now. Words feel chosen, pauses feel intentional, and silence feels loaded with things unsaid. Someone is watching how you respond, how you carry yourself, how little you explain. They are trying to understand when exactly you stop needing validation from them. That question unsettles them deeply, because it forces them to confront their own assumptions. They assumed you would always be available, always understanding, always waiting. What they see now is different. They see composure instead of chasing. They see dignity instead of desperation. And that shift changes how they see you completely. Respect begins to replace familiarity, and respect is far more powerful. Inside you, something important locks into place. You no longer feel the urge to interpret every sign or decode every action. You understand that clarity does not come from overthinking, but from watching patterns repeat or break. This inner stillness is not indifference. It is strength. It allows you to see the situation as it truly is, not as you hoped it would be. You are no longer afraid of outcomes, because you trust yourself to handle any of them. This confidence is quiet, but it is unmistakable. It changes the energy of every interaction, making it clear that access to you is no longer guaranteed, but intentional. At this point, someone faces a choice they cannot avoid. Continue pretending, or step forward honestly. Both options carry consequences, and they know it. If they stay silent, they risk losing relevance in your life. If they speak, they risk vulnerability. This is the moment where character reveals itself, not through words, but through action. You may not know which choice they will make yet, but you will feel the pressure of the decision building. It shows up in hesitation, in emotional restlessness, in an urgency that was not there before. They are realizing that you are not waiting at the same door anymore. You have moved inward, grounded, centered, and no longer easy to reach without intention. Let this moment breathe. Do not interrupt it with assumptions or impatience. The power you hold right now comes from restraint and awareness. You do not need to test anyone or provoke responses. Time will do that for you. What is meant to reveal itself will do so naturally, and when it does, it will be undeniable. This part of the journey is about watching truth step forward on its own. The next phase will not be subtle. It will bring a clear shift, a defining action, and a moment where you finally see who is willing to meet you at the level you now stand. My beloved child. This is where movement begins, not rushed, not dramatic, but deliberate and impossible to stop. What was once only internal pressure now starts demanding expression. Someone reaches a point where holding back feels heavier than speaking, and silence becomes more uncomfortable than truth. You may sense this before it happens, a subtle tightening in the air, a feeling that something is about to cross from thought into action. This is not impulse. This is a build-up that has taken time, reflection, and emotional confrontation. The surprise that started everything has now matured into resolve, and resolve always looks different from hesitation. When this shift happens, you will feel it instantly, because the energy around you will no longer feel uncertain. It will feel intentional. You might notice a change in how you are approached, not casual anymore, not careless. There is more care in the timing, more sincerity in the tone, more weight behind simple words. Someone understands now that they cannot access you the way they once did. They realize that familiarity without effort no longer works. This awareness humbles them. It makes them more attentive, more present, and more cautious with their choices. They are no longer acting from comfort, but from a fear of losing something meaningful. This fear is not weakness. It is recognition. It is the understanding that what stands in front of them cannot be easily replaced, ignored, or postponed anymore. At the same time, your position becomes clearer to you than ever before. You are not pulled by anticipation or anxiety. You are grounded in self-trust. You know that whatever unfolds next will add to your life, not define your worth. This clarity gives you emotional steadiness that others can feel. You are not cold. You are calm. You are not distant. You are selective. This distinction matters, because it sets the tone for everything that follows. When you speak, it will be intentional. When you listen, it will be discerning. You are no longer reacting to possibilities. You are responding to reality as it presents itself. Someone now understands that they are being evaluated, not judged, but observed. They feel the shift in power, and instead of resisting it, they begin to adjust. They realize that consistency matters more than promises, and presence matters more than explanations. This realization may bring nervousness, but it also brings honesty. You may see them reveal a side that was hidden before, not because they were trying to deceive, but because they were unsure of themselves. Now, uncertainty has been replaced with clarity. They know what they want. The question is whether they are ready to show it through action rather than words. This part of the journey is about alignment becoming visible. Things that were once unclear begin to take shape. Intentions become easier to read. Energy becomes easier to interpret. You no longer need to guess where you stand. You simply observe and understand. What is unfolding now is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to confirm that your patience, your restraint, and your trust in your inner voice were justified. The next shift will bring definition, a clear direction that cannot be misunderstood. When that moment arrives, you will not feel surprised. You will feel ready. My beloved child. This is the moment where intention stops hiding behind uncertainty and starts standing in the open. What has been slowly forming now reaches a point where it must be acknowledged, not just felt. Someone understands that time has shifted, and the window they once believed would stay open forever is no longer guaranteed. This realization creates urgency, not panic, but a serious awareness that choices made now will carry long-term meaning. You may feel this shift as a sudden heaviness followed by calm, as if your inner world is preparing you to witness something important without being shaken by it. This phase is about truth stepping forward without force, because truth no longer needs to fight for attention. You may notice that actions begin to align more closely with words, or that silence is finally broken in a way that feels different from before. There is less hesitation, less testing, less uncertainty. Someone is no longer asking themselves if they should act, but how. This distinction matters. It shows maturity, responsibility, and emotional clarity. They are no longer driven by fear of rejection, but by the understanding that doing nothing would be the real loss. This is when presence becomes intentional, not accidental. When effort becomes visible, not symbolic. And when you realize that the energy you carry now sets the standard for how you are approached. You are no longer emotionally available to confusion. You recognize when something is real because it feels steady, not intense. You are not impressed by urgency alone. You are attentive to consistency. This inner clarity protects you without closing your heart. It allows you to receive what is genuine while letting go of what is uncertain without resentment. This balance is powerful. It ensures that whatever enters your life now does so with purpose. You are not guarding yourself out of fear. You are honoring yourself out of self-respect. Someone senses this boundary even if it is never spoken. They understand that access to you now requires honesty, presence, and follow-through. This awareness may make them cautious, but it also makes them real. They are no longer performing or guessing. They are showing you who they are when they know it matters. This is where truth becomes visible through behavior, not explanation. You may notice small but meaningful efforts, consistent gestures, or a willingness to be emotionally present in ways that were missing before. These are not grand displays. They are quiet proofs. This stage is not about conclusions yet. It is about confirmation. You are seeing clearly who is capable of meeting you where you stand now. You are watching who rises to the level of clarity you carry and who slowly fades when effort becomes necessary. Do not rush to label anything. Let actions continue to speak. What is forming now is stable, not rushed, and stability lasts. The next part will bring a defining moment, a choice that makes everything unmistakable, and when that happens, you will not question it. You will recognize it instantly as alignment. My beloved child. This is where the story tightens into focus, because clarity always reaches a point where it demands a decision. What has been building quietly now steps into definition. Someone realizes that showing up halfway is no longer enough, and they feel the weight of that truth pressing on every thought they have. This is not pressure created by you. It is pressure created by reality. They understand that moments like this do not repeat endlessly, and that timing matters as much as intention. You may feel an unusual stillness inside yourself, a calm that arrives before something decisive happens. That calm is your signal that whatever unfolds next will not shake you. It will reveal. You might notice a shift in their energy that cannot be faked. There is less performance and more presence. Less avoidance and more accountability. They are no longer circling the situation. They are standing in it. Words, if spoken, carry sincerity rather than uncertainty. Silence, if present, carries purpose rather than confusion. This is the difference between someone who is curious and someone who is committed. You can feel it without analyzing it. Your body recognizes steadiness before your mind names it. This is why you are no longer guessing. You are observing truth in motion. Within you, a boundary becomes unbreakable, not rigid, but clear. You know what you will accept and what you will not, without needing to explain it to anyone. This inner certainty is what changes the dynamic completely. You are not waiting to be chosen. You are watching who chooses with consistency. This shift places you in a position of quiet authority. You are no longer responding to emotional noise. You are responding to alignment. That difference protects your peace and elevates every connection that enters your life now. Someone feels this boundary even if it is never spoken aloud. They understand that access to you now comes with responsibility. This understanding either strengthens their resolve or exposes their limits. There is no middle ground here anymore. The moment calls for courage, not comfort. You will see this through action, not explanation. Through effort, not intensity. Through presence, not promises. This is where truth becomes undeniable, because it is lived, not declared. Let this moment arrive fully. Do not rush to label it or control it. You are not here to force outcomes. You are here to witness alignment reveal itself naturally. Whatever steps forward now does so because it belongs. Whatever hesitates shows you what it cannot sustain. This part of the journey is about recognition, not reaction. And what you recognize next will make the direction ahead unmistakably clear.